Welcome to the No Shame Podcast. I'm John Groders. Once a year, filmmakers and producers, actors and directors from all over the world gather to be encouraged in the Lord and in their craft at the International Christian Visual Media Conference, or ICVM. We spent the week interviewing many of those who attended for our podcast.
Have no shame, no, we are not afraid, no shame.
Welcome to the No Shame Podcast. We are in Franklin, Cool Springs, Tennessee. We're at the ICVM conference. It's the end of day number 1. We are recording this on the 11th of July. And our guest tonight is Leland Klassen. And on the No Shame Podcast, we have had survivors, we have had professional hockey players,
yes.
We have had baseball chaplains, we have had movie stars, casting agents.
But perfect.
Now we have you.
I just have no shame. So I still fit, but...
Well, okay, so Leland, tell me what you do.
I'm a stand-up comedian. I make fun of myself for a living, actually. So
nice.
Yeah, kind of fits, right?
So you're a stand-up comedian, and I mean, Keith was telling me that you are working, you are on the road, right? So
a lot,
What's that like?
What's the road like?
What's the road like?
It's, you know what, everyone thinks, oh, the road, it's so glamorous and this and that. And
right.
Yeah, for the first week,
right?
22 years later, it's not as enticing.
22 years,
I've been doing
really?
this for 22 years.
Wow, you look about 35. That's good. That's good.
Is that
You
good?
started young.
I
You're like
did.
Ron Howard.
I was 14.
Look at
I didn't
that.
do the math right.
No.
I was 13.
I don't do math.
Yeah,
I was
I don't
told
know.
there would be no math on this show, ever. I came to ICVM last year. You weren't here. This is your first year ever.
No, I was here years and years ago.
Okay.
Not here, but ICVM.
ICVM.
Yeah.
I've come to really appreciate the ICVM conference. I like the people here. I'm always encouraged.
I'm blown away so far.
It's a beautiful group of people from all over the world, but we can sometimes get a little serious, I think.
Yeah?
And I felt last year like a little bit, we needed to laugh more. In fact, I brought a new program this year called The Sheeps, and I'm hoping that we're going to laugh at the Sheeps. But you're here this year, and I'm already feeling better about things.
Good.
Just give me your philosophy of laughter in Christ. Why is that a good thing, appropriate thing, allowable thing?
It's funny because anytime I do a show at a church, and I do shows at all kinds of different clubs, churches, whatever. It's the same. I do the same show, but I feel like the pastors always want to justify to their elders why they're bringing in a comedian. So they always do that Proverbs verse, laughter is good like medicine, right?
Oh,
Elders,
Proverbs.
Are we okay?
We have covering.
It's okay that I brought him in, right? But no, you know what? Here's the thing about laughter, and this is something that I've really realized. It is good like medicine, and God does use it to heal. And it opens doors too to talk about things. If you get people laughing, their barriers and walls come down. So it's beneficial in all kinds of different ways.
Isn't it super honest too? Isn't like if people do a song or you do a music and there's people that out there, they decide, I think I'll take the position that I hate this band, or I think I'll take the position that I love this movie. But if they're laughing, it's kind of all over. They kind of have revealed themselves honestly, right? Like you get them laughing.
Well, I've been at shows and people that come in like I am not going to laugh at this.
He's crossing his arms, he's shaking his head.
And that's the person I will go to. Like it's my job tonight,
right? To pick on him.
Yeah, to give you some laughs. So I'll just, after I do something, I'll keep kind of looking at that person, or I'll maybe do a punchline right to them. Eventually, I'll get them to crack, and I'll be like, I knew I'd get you, without saying anything beforehand. And they're like,
that's kind of daring, actually. I don't usually win those people over myself.
Well, there's wins and losses.
You're better at this. Who makes you laugh? Do you have some go-tos?
Yeah, my thing when it's different now, but when I was first starting to do comedy, of course I had influences, guys coming up, Gary Shandling and old Bob Newhart stuff. Jim Carrey's stand-up before he did, before he got super huge, he was a stand-up comic, and he had this impression act that was okay, but when he just threw all that out. It's his legendary story of him throwing everything out and just starting from scratch, and just that's where all his characters for In Living Color came. And he made fun of the stand-up conventions. And that's where I was like, this guy's brilliant. Like if you see, I think it's Unnatural Act on Showtime. It's just a brilliant stand-up. He's a little crazy now, but but yeah. So that was the early, like, oh, I love those guys. Thought they were great. And then my first, they say 7 years before you get your own voice in stand-up. They say it takes about 7 years. And so I avoided stand-up comedy. I avoided watching it. Like in clubs and stuff, you're going to see other comics. You work with other comics.
Right.
You see a bunch. But you don't really have your own voice until you've been doing it for a while. So the more you watch, then you all of a sudden, hey, he sounds a lot like John Panette, or he sounds a lot like, right? So I just avoided it because I was like, I'm going to be me.
Right.
And so now I'm me.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't have to worry, but I don't watch a ton.
Right.
The guy lately that I've been really into is Bill Burr.
Yeah.
Just so angry.
Yeah.
I love it. It speaks to me.
1 month from tonight, I will be going. I'm taking my brother. We're going to see Steve Martin and Martin Short. I've never seen Steve Martin. I can't wait. He made me laugh a lot in high school and ever since. But talk about, okay, so if I get into a rental car and they've got Sirius SM radio, I find that there's two comedy channels. There's one that's like comedy, and then there's one that's like blue comedy.
Right.
And if I'm on the blue comedy channel, it's blue.
Right.
And tell me how much comedy is sort of just in that blue vein, and how do you address that?
How much a comedy is in that?
Yeah, like I don't go to a lot of comedy clubs.
Yeah,
I'm a little afraid of them, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, if you're just talking about purely, if I'm going to go to a comedy club, you're gonna hear something offensive, likely.
Right.
It's kind of the way comedy has gone. Like I got back from Just for Laughs. That's the festival in Montreal. It's kind of it's a really great festival, big festival. And I hadn't been there in like 10 years. This speaks a lot that I had a 10-year gap where they didn't want me back. But there was a huge difference because I was known as, I'm a clean act all the time.
Right.
It wasn't a big deal 10 years ago. And now all of a sudden it was this huge deal. They made this huge thing about it. I had it was a TV taping. And in the intro, they talked about it, and it was...
Like you're an anomaly now?
Well, yeah, almost... It almost felt, and I don't know, maybe I'm a little sensitive comedian or something like that, but I really felt like, it was like, they're kind of, they don't respect me because I'm clean.
Right.
But yet, so if you talk to some of these guys, they're like, it's really hard to do clean. And I don't necessarily think it's hard because it's just the way I've always done it.
Yeah.
And it's also where your mind's at, right? But they say it's like so hard to do clean, but yet somebody does clean and they're like, it's nonsense. Do you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. It strikes a lot of us that it's just cheap humor if all you have to do is swear or go blue.
Right.
I mean, that's not really takes a whole lot of thinking.
Sure, and there's some, and I'll be honest, there's some fantastic dirty comics that are just really clever comedians, and their writing is just brilliant.
Yeah.
It just happens to be dirty.
Right.
But there's some comics that,
just cheap trick it.
It's just, let me just...
What are some veins when you're working on material? Like, can you think off the top of your head, but can you think of a vein that you recently were working on, and as you sort of started exploring it, you found it to be a funny line of thought? Like, what kind of thing starts to amuse your inner brain?
Lately, it's my age, and I'm starting to develop this stuff. I'm getting old, but I feel like everything that's been affecting me in my old age lately happened fast. Like, I thought it would be gradual, but now all of a sudden it's like, my knee doesn't work anymore, so I'm dragging it for the rest of the day or whatever, right? Like, it's...
And I know what you mean. What were you just talking about?
Exactly.
I forgot.
Exactly.
Well, picking on yourself is always fair game, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the easiest thing to do, and I've got a lot of material to work with.
God bless you in that way.
Yeah, he made me to be a comedian who makes fun of myself.
What's your worst quality?
My worst quality?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Really?
I got a lot of bad qualities.
Yeah, like name a couple.
I'm a little selfish.
Really?
Yeah, I'm a bit of a narcissist. You're on the
kidding.
road for
By yourself?
for 22 years.
Amusing people?
Especially if you travel. If you're traveling, any traveling businessmen out there will get this. And I read a book about this too, and I just was everything was exactly like me, but you travel by yourself, you take care of yourself, you're just used to only you.
Yeah, right.
And you become a narcissist. So
Right.
you get home and it's like, why are these people
Not
annoying
following-
me and not doing the things that I want? It's all about me, is it not?
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, that's something I've always had to really struggle with.
So do you
but-
take God with you on the road? Does God take you on the road? Are you guys strangers? Are you acquaintances? Are you tight? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, I have to be tight with God. Otherwise, I couldn't do this. I couldn't still be doing this.
Yeah.
He's helped me through a lot of this. 22 years.
Does he review
All
your
of it.
material? I mean, do you find God has a sense of humor?
Yeah, oh, for sure. I think so. I do. I remember when I was first starting out and I was making that decision of, hey, is this material, what is this? Is this going to be okay to do? And I remember taking it to God, and he was like, there was one that I was actually poking fun a little bit at a TV evangelist. And whether the TV evangelist is right or not, God was like, nah, don't do it.
Too easy.
And I'm like, oh, okay. And I just kind of realized that we don't need to be poking. There's some people that need to be called out for stuff. Sure, there's some false, there's some, but at the same time, I don't need to be mocking and tearing down the body. That's stuff that we have to do within the body ourselves, right? We need to deal with that. We don't need to tell the world, hey, here's what we're doing wrong.
I'm always amazed. I've done music, and to start a night set, to start a concert, I can come out there and we can sort of lay down a rhythm and we can kind of get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
But a comedian, there's nothing to help you get the ball rolling, is there? Like, how do you get started? I think it's always funny. Once the relationship has been built and we've laughed a little bit.
Sure, yeah.
But is that like a thing? Like, it's hard to get started?
It is. And it was funny because I have a lot of openers now, so I don't ever have to do that.
Yeah.
But I was doing a show, this was a couple of weeks ago, and I was just kind of starting out, and I was just kind of feeling my way through this crowd, and so I just stopped. I told him that. I said, normally I got an opener, so, and he's less funny, and then he just kind of warms you guys up, and then I come out here. And so I don't have one of those tonight, so I'm just going to be less funny for the first couple minutes.
Keep their hopes up.
And they were like,
get
oh,
better.
that makes sense. Okay. So you're going to be funnier? Yeah, trust me, I'll be there. But I treat it very, some comedians probably treat it like this, but I look at it, it's a service industry. I'm a servant. Mm-hmm. So I come in to bring laughter. Sometimes comedians are there and they want something from the audience. They want that laughter. I need this, right? Mm-hmm. And man, it doesn't work. I mean, sometimes you get that, but if that's what you're in it for, a lot of times the audience is like, wait a second, he wants something from us. Even if it's subconsciously, they're kind of like, he's a little needy, and they'll just shut down, right? And so I've learned to be like, no, it's about you guys. So we'll give you a show.
We actually, as the audience, when I say we actually want to see our comics so self-confident that we don't think we could possibly. Isn't that a thing? Like, they just have the microphone and they're more confident than we are.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I say it's a servant's job and I'm trying to bring something to them. At the same time, though, I don't care. Right, and they sense that too. Oh, he's so relaxed; he doesn't actually care. It's like, no, because I know you'll enjoy this.
Right.
Even if we're starting out and you don't, I know you're gonna. It's gonna be fine. Everybody just relax. We're gonna have a good time.
And if they don't, you still have huge hands to go home, and
You know what?
no one can take
You
that
bring
from
out
you.
the props.
Yeah, that's just, this man could palm
My
2
props are
basketballs
attached.
with one hand.
Yeah, that's right. I could
2
palm a
basketballs.
medicine ball.
It's awesome. I'm insanely jealous from the old Connie Hawkins days, who died this year. So when's it going? Can you tell me what it's like when you're in the zone? Like, one of those nights where you're wide awake and everything is fresh in your mind. What's going on? How does that feel?
Well, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
The problem is you can't. As a Christian, I can't be like, because that can sometimes be like, oh, I just live for that moment, because
okay.
that, right? And now you got an idol to worry about, right? So I've always, but it's a great feeling.
Yeah,
It really is. I
Yeah.
mean, that's when you're hitting that and you're doing that. There's some times where I've kind of just sat back a little bit, not sat back, but in my mind, I've sat back and I'm like, this is what I've always dreamt about doing. And here I am, and I'm getting to do it. And this is so much fun. They're having a great time. I'm having a great time. the zone is a great place to be.
I think Christians, we are supposed to be joyful.
Yeah.
We are supposed to be joyful regardless of circumstance, regardless of life situation. It's supposed to be a definer of us. Laughter might not be the exact same thing as joy, but they're definitely related.
Yeah.
Do you see what you do as ministry to the body, or do you see what you do? How do you define it?
I do, and there's many different kinds of shows I do. Like I'll be at a church and I can. There's shows, where it's just a pre-evangelistic tool.
Yeah.
So they just want people to come in and laugh, and I can do that, and that's a part of what the body there is trying to do. There's other times where it's like, hey, can you share the gospel? Yeah, I can share. I'll tell you what Christ means to me, and but there's sometimes I'll still go out and do a comedy club, and to me, it's still.
Yeah.
That's still ministry.
Yeah.
And I used to say, like, it's a light in the dark,
Right.
and the ministry there is maybe not just on stage, but it's also the wait staff or the because they're watching you all day, not just on the stage. They watch what you do because they know who you are and what you're representing. But lately, I've realized that it's also at a club or something like that, when I'm at a completely secular venue, if I'm doing and I'm just making them laugh, I know God's still working some healing in some of them. And as long as I have that mindset going in, and I'm praying it up, and I'm saying, this is, I want to glorify you tonight, God. So you know where every one of these people are that's coming in here tonight. Can you meet them there? I think the Holy Spirit is meeting them there in a club. And I'm not giving them the gospel there. I'm not allowed to, right? It's illegal.
Right.
Well, you could. You just would never get voted. You'd never get brought back. But I do think there's ministry that way as well.
I can't wait to see your show, and I know you're hosting the awards banquet.
Yeah, it'll be different. That's a
this
different
week.
scenario too than just a comedy show, but it'll be fun.
I really am looking forward to seeing you, and we're talking with Leland Klassen, and he's a stand-up comic. He's a Christian. He has huge hands. He looks younger than he's claiming to be to me, but that's because I'm probably older than he is. I'm looking forward to seeing you, but I want to talk a little bit about movies now. You've kind of done something beyond stand-up, and tell me about alter egos and sort of this acting thing that's going on.
Yeah, well, I mean, I started, I'm from Canada. In 1999, at Just for Laughs Festival, I actually got scouted there, and I got my first sitcom pilot. It was a Canadian sitcom that didn't go anywhere, even though I quit my job, and I was like, this is the one.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it didn't happen. But that was from there on, I started doing little bits of acting, a lot of just comedic stuff, off and on. But I wasn't really like, I'm an actor. I was still like, no, I'm a stand-up, but I'll do some of these things. But a couple of years back, through ICVM, actually, Tori Martin in particular, he connected me with a producer that was looking for someone on this Alter Egos movie, and fun role. It was just really fun to be a part of it, and they just kind of let me loose.
Wow.
and it was great. And then a couple of years later, they had this dramatic role, and they offered me that because of what I did at Alter Egos, and that was extraordinary. And I had a blast doing that too. Very, very different skill set, but it was in many ways different, but also similar, right? But
Have you ever heard of Ted and Lee?
yeah, sure did.
Ted Schwartz and Lee Eshelman have been great friends of mine for years.
One of them has passed.
Yeah, Lee. It's been a long time now, but it was tragic. But Ted Schwartz was in the Frontier Boys, been a good friend of mine.
Okay.
Do you know Kurt Cloninger? By any chance, Kurt Cloninger?
I know that name.
Traveling guy, does drama. I mean, I just have appreciated immensely a small group of people that travel around and do drama, do skit comedy, do stand-up comedy. I was often traveling in the music side, and so got to see that we would complement.
Yeah.
But I think what you do is enormously important
thanks.
and valuable and tough at times. But man, if we can't laugh together, then we have just got our pants on too tight, and you've got to get us laughing. And so now, on the air, let's talk about a project we can do together. I think it's time to negotiate this.
Should we nail
There's
something down?
no agents.
Is that why there's paper and a pen
There's
here?
a pen here. Just sign.
Am I signing
sign
something?
right there.
What's going on?
No, with blood, not with that ink. Go ahead, just prick yourself. Now, who knows if that would ever happen? I would think it would be a blast to just share a chance to make a film that was just hilariously funny and
Absolutely.
absolutely no holds barred,
That would be
silly.
Yeah.
So
super fun.
we'll announce it in a future No Shame podcast when we actually begin filming
Sounds good.
this movie called Holiday Dracula. There it is. I've planted it. It's
Nice.
the first planted
He's planted
seed.
the seed.
Leland Klassen, you're going to be awards show hosting here at ICVM, and you were pitching some shows at the Pitch Fest. You got all kinds
Yeah.
of things going.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Everybody, how can they find you? Where do we find you?
LelandKlassen.com, or I guess it's everybody's doing Facebook and Twitter, and just Leland Klassen with one E. Don't put two E's in Leland.
No, I made that mistake already. He
Yeah,
almost swung it.
it's so offensive to-
Leland, Leland, and then Klassen, KLASSEN.com. LelandKlassen.com.
Yeah, and then it's Facebook. It's Leland Klassen. There's maybe a dot in the Twitter. I can't remember. There's Leland Klassen. You'll find me. Just search
Google
it.
will come to the rescue. But
Yeah.
you do take bookings. We can
Yeah,
we can
absolutely.
bring you to our town, right? We can call you.
That would be
get-
awesome.
get-
We were talking. Keith and I were talking about that.
I can't wait.
Let's make it happen.
We'll bring it to our town. And if you're listening to this podcast and you think your church, your town, your local comedy club could use a little dose of Leland, I think you should go to LelandKlassen.com and get on the schedule. It would be good for all of us to laugh and enjoy the Lord together. If you kind of bomb on the awards night in 2 nights, then we just will make a little amendment at the end of this. I'll take that back.
Sure. Yeah. Well, you don't have to air it till after.
And by the way,
Till you know for sure.
Shonda Pierce was here last year, and she was great. I mean,
I
really,
just got a
really
text from her.
High bar.
Yeah, I know. I know. She's tough to follow. I'll tell you that.
But she wore the black leather pants. I'm just giving you a tip.
Well, I'm wearing the same pair.
That's what I'm hoping for because it worked last
First
year.
thing I did was I called her and I'm like, "Where are your leather pants?"
What was your key? Yeah, that was the key. Thank you so much, Leland, for spending this time. This is the No Shame Podcast. I'm John Groders. Thanks for listening, and let's just laugh more. I think it blesses the world.
Have no shame, no, we are not afraid.